Yo, what up, everybody? This is Roots to Grooves. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Jesse Quigley.
I'm Jay Purcell. Welcome along, everybody.
Happy to be here, man.
Yeah.
Happy to be here on a beautiful day in Seattle. Summer's here, man.
Yeah, summer's coming. The city is opening up again, it seems like. I was walking around Pike Place Market earlier. Loads of people. There's like lines around the block for like restaurants.
It's pretty exciting.
Couldn't get my nice egg kind of breakfast
Oh, man.
combo thing happening because there's so many people out. But
Like,
I guess it's a good thing, you know?
yeah. Some people are getting used to the pandemic life where it's like, oh, there's no cars anywhere. There's no people, no lines.
Yeah.
For a gentleman living in the city, it's kind of nice, maybe.
Yeah.
But
good.
anyway, whoa.
And
Hit the table there.
And I'm about to go to New Orleans this coming week, but by the time this episode comes out, it's in the past.
Yes.
So
You will have. How was the trip?
it was great. Yeah.
Nice.
Fully open.
That's great.
Like, there's an episode of The Drop, one or two.
Poolside.
Live from New Orleans. Yeah.
I'm excited to see that. So everybody, check out that YouTube.
Yeah.
But yo, what's up? It's Roots to Grooves. We're talking about Kikagaku Moyo today, a Japanese psychedelic acid rock, indie kind of droney band. Super cool. I mean, I guess it's essentially like a rock band, a psychedelic rock band, instrumental music. Not very poppy.
No. Yeah.
Just kind of like these songs kind of build up and drone along, and it's really kind of puts you in a meditative state.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. These aren't meant to be like, there's not big hooks. It's not super poppy, but it's very good. It's very chill music. So I keep hitting the table a little bit. But they have like 3 or 4 albums out. They're all super good, super consistent. They got, I think 2 EPs or an EP and a single that came out in 2020. So these guys are doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
Super tight-knit group of 5 Japanese dudes.
Yeah.
I think out of Osaka. Or
Yeah.
were they... or they might have been from a couple other places.
Yeah, I think they like all lived in a house together in Tokyo, and that's kind of when they were doing most of their genesis of starting the band up, kind of thing. But yeah, like you're saying, kind of jam bandy almost a little bit. Like
Totally, yeah.
Sound. A lot of really long songs, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That one we opened up with was actually probably their most sort of catchy song-like kind of track.
Kind of short and sweet
so far. Yeah. Off of their album Masana Temples. I think I'm pronouncing that right, Masana.
That's how I pronounced it, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, really good band. I hadn't heard of them before. And how did you come across them?
They were a random find from, I don't know, one of my Spotify friends, and you can see who's playing what.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was either that or I had some songs playing on YouTube as I was falling asleep, and they came up on a playlist or something, and I was like, save.
Nice.
Back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then looked them up again the next day or whatever, and I mean, it's just kept listening to them. They're super good.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels really good to put that music on. It feels really chill and meditative and relaxing, even though they do rock a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, they are playing some like even power chords, and it gets almost a little heavy for split seconds.
Right. Yeah.
Or at least some extended moments.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. It's good. They're very dynamic.
Yeah.
Let's go over the guys in the band. On vocals and guitar, we got Tomo Katsurada. Guitar, I hope I'm pronouncing these right, Dowd Popel. I'm just guessing here. Okay. On the sitar, an electric sitar, Ryu Kurosawa.
Yeah.
I'm struggling over here.
I'm struggling over the first name. Right. I don't know how you pronounce Ryu, R-Y-U. Maybe you can write in, listeners.
Yeah, let us know. or Ryu, if you're listening. Please, we don't mean any disrespect.
Exactly.
On bass guitar, Katsugai. And I think he goes by Guy.
Okay. Yep.
I think. And then drums and vocals, Go Kurosawa.
Yeah.
And are they brothers?
I didn't see that anywhere, but...
yeah, I didn't see that either, but they just have the same last name.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll just go with that.
We'll go with that for now.
We're not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe not brothers. I don't think they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, super cool. So, I mean, they were just kind of kids in Japan.
Yeah.
And then they had a love for music, and they were all kind of doing different stuff.
Yeah.
It seems like. I think it was Go. I think Go met Tomo. I can't remember exactly who was who. I should have written better notes, but I think one of them found one of the other ones. I think it was Guy or Tomo, and he was recording sounds from a vending machine, like in town somewhere, because he was working on some other project for school or something. And they're like, "Oh, you like recording music? You want to be in a band?"
Yeah.
And so they, gathered them up. I imagined as I was reading some of this through, it was like a superhero show, and they're like gathering the Avengers, like going through the city in Japan, like, "You play drums? Come along." And now we're like rolling to the studio or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, do you know how any of them else met?
I don't really know that. I think they kind of started busking a lot on the streets of Tokyo in the summer of 2012. Is kind of when it first came about. So I'm not really clear on how they all met, but they started, I think, at that point to just share a house together where they could make a lot of sound.
Yeah, right.
And they said the busking was crazy. They said they play outside the train station, and they'd just be doing jamming, whatever, and then people would come up and join in. Crazy people on the street would just like start dancing and stuff like that.
Yeah. So these guys, they really came, started from the bottom, literally just busking around. They formed this band really organically.
Yeah.
They didn't have they didn't have managers. They didn't have, they were starting from the bottom, just kids busking. They said they'd go into the mountains and play.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep hitting this table. I'm doing a little squiggle thing. I'll stop doing that. Sorry, everybody. We'll cut this out. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, they'll go into the mountains and play, or they'll just go and camp for a while. And like, they really kind of take music seriously.
Yeah.
Like, not that other people don't that we talk about, but I just love how kind of grounded they are with it. And they have like this experience in the mountains, and they're like, how can we make this, how can we translate it into music?
Yeah.
And that's super cool, because I think a lot of people are trying to do that with music, is how to translate these emotions and communicate that through the sounds.
Because I think they also said like Tokyo can be a very intense city at times, kind of thing. So they like to go out to the wilderness to sort of reflect and write music and chill out and have just a different, change of scenery kind of thing. I mean, I've been to Tokyo once, and it's very compacted. Like, I managed to go up to this place called Tokyo Tree Tower, I think is the name of it. It's like really, really tall building, and I don't like heights. I was kind of dizzy when I went up there, because also like it's kind of like the Space Needle, like the top of it's circular.
Okay.
So you're inside and you can walk around it, but the floor is like tilted that way. So as you're walking around, you're kind of going down and then up, and that just added to the disorientation.
Yeah, that like getting some vertigo.
Yeah. So you got that going on, and also the views are like, as far as the eye can see is just city, and you're that insane. High up, and it's just like buildings and city and lights and stuff like that. That's insane.
I would love to go visit one day. I've never been.
Yeah.
That must have been amazing.
Yeah, crazy city. I didn't really get to like do too much. There's like a few neighborhoods I'm blanking on the names of right now, but like really sort of cool neighborhoods for like bars and stuff like that.
Yeah. I bet. A lot to explore.
Everyone's smoking there in restaurants and
they haven't changed those rules? No, so you can just smoke in restaurants and stuff?
Yeah, just like chain smoking and everywhere kind of thing. And
that's cool.
Yeah, it was crazy city. They have a lot of these vinyl bars where it's just like a bar of like stocked full of vinyl records kind of thing. And they have this weird thing, cover charges is a big thing over there. Like you have to pay like $20 or whatever to get into a place, and then you have to pay for the cocktails and drinks and whatever, but then you can get to like play like whatever records the guy has up there kind of thing.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, I haven't really encountered that too much anywhere else, other than like there was a few of those types of places out there.
We'll have to go out there one day and do a Roots to Groove on location.
Yeah.
That'd be super cool.
Definitely.
But speaking of kind of the city and the culture, as far as music scenes go, it seems like it's kind of hit or miss, or a lot of stuff is, for example, Kikagaku Moyo, the band would have to do pay-to-play shows when they were starting out. And it's like these scenes are kind of, there is music going on there, and there's some cool stuff. And we'll get into that later, because they ended up starting a record label to help these other bands get a little more notoriety and be able to play easier, do live shows for other people around the world. But yeah, they would have to start to pay to play, so that's kind of a tough thing. And then, I think it was I don't know, Tomo or the guitarist or the drummer, one of the guys in the band, I'm sorry. But he was just talking about how they have to do that. And then it's just, you know, the people in the audience are just a few of your friends, like 3 friends. And if anybody has a girlfriend, and there's like one random guy. And so it's kind of like sad, kind of a, kind of a lame thing. And you paid to be there.
Right.
But I guess that was kind of a popular thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why, just based on the culture, based on, you know, what they're allowed to do. Cause this is like a psychedelic progressive band essentially. Yeah. And maybe not all this music jives with like the greater idea of where these Japanese people are in their head as far as culture and what's allowed and what you should like and what, you know, I don't know. I don't mean to like, I shouldn't even say anything because I don't know enough about it.
I think it's interesting because a lot of their influences say come from like 70s kind of rock and psychedelic rock from that era kind of thing. They said they also listen to all kinds of different music, but you know, which is kind of what makes them coming together so interesting because each person's listening to rock or jazz or
I think some like one guy's into metal, like some heavier stuff, and then the sitar guy, like I think he was somewhere in Japan, like, or what was he doing? I'm sorry, I can't remember the stuff off the top of my head today, but he was doing some class, or no, I think he was in India.
Oh yeah,
and that's where he
went to India to learn.
That's what I was trying
sitar, is what I heard.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was trying to bring up. I need to wake up, get some coffee or something. But yeah, so he learned the electric sitar in India, and then he came back to Japan to be in the band. Yeah. Again, I'm not sure how they met or whatever, but you know, so I mean, we're talking about metal music, Indian sitar, psychedelic rock. These guys are all over the place with their inspirations.
What they said was interesting about the psychedelic part of it is they said, you know, like in other parts of the world, that type of music has a kind of association with drug culture, like mushrooms and LSD and all that sort of thing. And they said in Japan, it's not really linked, or like especially psychedelic, but basically no music is really linked to like the drug scene. It's more about like the fashion of it kind of thing, which is interesting. So, you know, there isn't that, for Japanese people listening to this music, there isn't that association with like, you know, LSD, all those famous people in the 60s and 70s that went around the US
the
on
Beatles,
the buses. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
So, yeah.
There's the whole scene, but it's cool how they can develop the same scene as far as the music goes, but not really associate the drug culture with it. Yeah. So like same but different. Yeah. And that's pretty cool. Yeah. So where we go from here? I mean, I guess I kind of want to play another track. Yeah. They've loaded up, and then we can get into. They start making some music. They start playing some shows.
Well, so their first album, self-titled Kikagaku Moyo, came out in 2013, and I think from what I hear is they wrote and recorded it all in like a week. Or less than a week.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think, and because they jam a lot, I think they were writing as they like recorded, like literally hit record and like were playing kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
I think they like to keep the energy live as possible. So like they would go far as to not play it, you know, over and over again. And they just want to keep that super live sound. Yeah, because it is kind of a jam band. And some of these interviews, I think like Fish was mentioned. Yeah, you know, another big famous jam band. Yeah, and
this German band I think called Can as well.
Can, okay.
I've heard they have one really popular track that just gets played a lot on like people's playlists. Like I've heard it playing in like coffee shops and stuff like that. And I Shazammed it once when I first heard that, and I was like, oh okay, it's this band Can. Like,
you think I would recognize it?
Yeah, I can spin a little bit of it. I think you might. It's kind of like their most popular track. It's called Vitamin C. I'll just spin a little bit of this. Here we go. Don't recognize it?
I don't recognize it.
This is really good. Should we let this play?
I mean, yeah, I like it.
That was Vitamin C, or Vitamin C, depending on where you're from.
Oh.
By Can.
Tomato.
Yeah.
I loved that. That was great.
Yeah, it was really funky. I Shazammed that when I heard that
Nice.
somewhere playing. And then I was like, oh, okay. It's just like from the 70s. I think I tried to check out some of their stuff. Nothing as catchy as that. But they're definitely an influence for Kikagaku Moyo.
Where's that band from?
Can is from Germany.
Okay. Cool. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, so they took a improvisatory. Wow,
nice.
Approach to rock music. Also, there's like hooks, but like heavy grooves. Kind of thing. Yeah, so that was.
Yeah, like how it kind of like faded out and went like kind of trippy at the end.
Yeah, some weird.
It's kind of like some high vibration stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was cool. I was like, it was lulling me.
Yeah,
into another world,
definitely,
which I love, which is what Kikagaku Moyo does for me too. So that's why I wanted to bring it to the table today.
Yeah.
So real quick, what does that mean? What is Kikagaku Moyo? Where did they get that name? As far as I know, the name translates to geometric patterns.
Yeah.
And I think, as far as I don't know, a little tiny bit of a story is that they were playing, and they were early on in the group's history, and I think they were playing and they were practicing a lot, like into the middle of the night, because they had to work all day. So these guys were working and then trying to get this band off the ground. And so they'd be playing all night. And one of the things they would do is they would kind of try to outplay each other, because nobody would want to be the first one to stop. Because like the last one playing is like, you're the most musical, like you're the kind of the best musicianship.
Okay.
If you're, nobody wants to be like, okay, I'm done with this song.
Yeah.
So they kind of have this air of competition as far as playing goes, which is good, but they'd be playing super late into the night and they'd be getting really tired, and so they'd almost start to have these psychedelic experiences a little bit just from lack of sleep.
Right.
And so I think it was Tomo, or the guitarist, and he would like close his eyes because he's basically falling asleep but still trying to play, because none of the guys want to be the last one or they all want to be the last one playing, but none of them want to be the first one out. Kind of, so it's almost like a game, but he would start to see these geometric patterns in his eyes. And so kind of as much of a psychedelic trip as anybody else could get without the drugs. And so it kind of, kind of put those ideas together and made total sense.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, because I think that's like something they say a lot is like it's kind of about escaping in the music.
Yeah.
And just sort of like going to another place pretty much, and then channeling that through their instruments and together is like what they really talk about a lot, I think. Yeah,
the instruments and the music is their drugs.
Yeah.
And so they're really high when they're playing.
Yeah.
but sober.
Yeah,
as far as I know, I think they actually don't do any drugs or anything. I didn't see that come up anywhere. I think they're pretty much, I don't know if they're straight edge, but they probably smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, I've seen them drinking in interviews.
They're probably drinking.
But,
cool. But just as like such a psychedelic band not doing any psychedelic drugs, and I didn't see that come up in any of my research.
No.
Did they even experimented ever? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Again, let us know if we miss something huge.
Yeah. They're just out there in the mountains taking peyote.
Yeah.
Making these albums or something.
Yeah, these guys are like the highest guys ever. But anyway, so let's play a track off that first album.
Okay, yeah.
And let's get into it, and then we can see what they did from there.
So which album did you? So you kind of had a discovery of them just randomly, like one of the tracks popped up for you, sort of thing. Was that?
The album I discovered them was, I think it was their later album called Masana Temples.
Okay, yeah.
That's where I discovered them, but that's not their first album.
Yeah. The first one is self-titled. I'm doing a little bit of live searching for it right now because it's not on Spotify, which is my go-to platform of choice.
Oh,
but they do have it on their Bandcamp, which a lot of artists are doing. I've noticed Sean Lee as well, that we talked about, Jazz and Nova as well. A lot of those guys, their early stuff. If you can't find it anywhere, try and find their Bandcamp.
Yeah,
and then you'll like be sure to find it there. You can even buy it if you want. Buy physical copies, I think, on Bandcamp as well.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things because this first album they just put it out themselves. They're 100% DIY.
Yeah.
And these guys, like, they were in college and they were printing out their own like kind of psychedelic colorful posters, and they even got in trouble because they were like the authorities of the school were like, why are these posters everywhere? What's going on? You can't do this.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Damn.
But just very DIY, busking in the train station, making their own posters, creating their own music with no drugs, just really, DIY, doing it real. And it's super cool. So it's pretty inspiring to see just some kids start a cool band from scratch.
Definitely. And we can talk a little bit more about that DIY approach as we go along, but I'll play the first track from their first album.
Perfect.
It's called Can You Imagine Nothing?
pedacitos por aquí, pedazotes por allá, volando, saltando, en espiral, en zigzag, arriba, abajo, izquierda, derecha, afuera, adentro. La gente veía y decía, ¿pero qué está sucediendo? No había nadie para verlo. Pero entonces, ¿cómo puedes saber si existía? No había. Y eso es lo que es. Eso es todo lo que hay. Para todos ustedes, buenas noches. Buenas noches.
That was Can You Imagine Nothing? From Kikagaku Moyo, his first album, self-titled. And I think they mentioned the vocalist there. She has sort of collaborated with them here and there on a few things. Her name is Angie Gatopo. I think she's from Portugal originally.
Okay, cool.
But she's living in Tokyo and got involved with those guys. And yeah, that's her.
Nice
vocals there.
Yeah, I think maybe earlier I said it's mostly instrumental music, but they definitely do have some vocals on a good amount of tracks.
Yeah.
It's mostly instrumental though, right?
I mean the core members of the band, are just instrumentals. Kind of thing, so.
But yeah, when the vocals they do are really cool and really chill. And I mean, just that track though. Thanks for playing that. It was super chill.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
very old sounding. Definitely.
Yeah.
A vibe. I could just lie back.
Yeah,
that's a great opening to the album as well. I want to hear what the rest of the album's like.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks you in with their chillness.
Yeah,
and I love it. So that's what they're up to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we can talk a little bit about their DIY, how they're writing songs and everything.
Yeah,
because they're obviously like pretty good at creating a vibe, right?
Yeah.
So, I have a quote from Go Kurosawa. Honestly speaking, I don't really think of music, especially our music, as art. To me, the word art means something that is highbrow or conceptual, whereas music is something more primitive and impulsive, something that brings pleasure to both the body and the soul. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so great. What a good answer.
Yeah.
or whatever monologue for whatever interview that came from.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I mean, that's cool. That's pretty heavy to say, like, I don't even think my music is art. I think it's above art.
Well,
and he's not saying necessarily above art. I'm just joking.
No, I mean, I agree with that. I don't think I've ever really thought about music as art. Have you? I mean, it is an art form, but
for sure. I think everyone can see how it's somewhat of an art form, like, painting, sculpting, music. Like, it's in there in the art world, but I think music does transcend just art. Like, I think it's like literally communicating different emotions.
Yeah.
And translating that kind of like spiritual energy. Yeah. And communicating that between different people. You know, it's a language.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. Like, I've heard a few people say that about art. Like, the word art seems highbrow. It makes you think of like galleries or
like pish posh. Like, I'm going to buy the most expensive art piece in the gallery.
Objet d'art, whatever they say. But like, because I was just thinking that as you were saying that. But like, visual art can make you feel emotions as well.
Totally.
But music is very much. I mean, that's what does, right? It makes you feel things. It's very much about the good music is about the emotions and the experience of listening to it, I think.
Yeah, it's an experience.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody describe it once like painting is decorating space and music is decorating time.
Ooh, that's a good quote. Where'd you get that from?
I don't know where I got it. I got to find that out. It wasn't.
You can own that because like that's yours.
I said it right here on Roots to Grooves.
That's the tweet.
Yeah.
We'll start tweeting some choice things from these episodes.
We're definitely getting to Twitter. I don't know why we haven't yet.
Yeah.
But so I thought that was a cool quote, and then Go Kurosawa's quote is really cool. So they're just kind of coming from a real, chill place, a real grounded place of how to create, and they're aware of what they're creating and what they want to do.
Yeah.
And so I just think that's dope. I saw that they all write like 4 or 5 songs per month.
Yeah.
And the drummer and the vocalist, who is Go Kurosawa, they'll rarely take a day off, and then they'll just upload the stuff that they have to a Dropbox, and then they share it through there, and they can each write their parts and stuff, and just kind of keep this constant cycle of creation going.
Yeah.
So they're creating stuff on their own, putting it into a big pile, and then digging through the pile and seeing what they got and what they want to do with it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that approach. Yeah. A fountain of ideas, a well of ideas.
A well, that's a good way to say it. Yeah. Well. Yeah, so where are we at? I think they just were doing the same thing. They were figuring out the pay to play. They were like, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
They had enough, and I think they started an Australian tour.
Yeah, that was the first thing they said. I think it's because they said that they saw something that was happening in Australia, and they were like, if we want to be serious, like we should go there and like play some shows kind of thing. And then I think they went to Melbourne is where they went, and which I've also been to. And I have to say, because I went to Australia for the first time a couple of years ago, and like I've always, it's always been a place that I want to go to. It's very far away, very hard to get to kind of thing. But when I went there, I went to Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne, and out of all of those 3, Melbourne was the best place to be, because Sydney was just, it's like the main city. It's not in the capital. Like the capital, I think, of Australia is Canberra, when no one goes there. So everyone thinks about Sydney, and
I think everybody thinks Sydney is the capital.
Yeah, the people do, but it's not. And I did go to one rock club in Sydney, which is really cool, and there was like some bands playing there, and I was talking to some people there, and they were like, but everything kind of shuts down like real early, like about 1:00, like there's nothing happening in Sydney. And also after 1 a.m. in Sydney, the bar is still open till like 2 a.m, but if you leave at 1 a.m, they won't let you back in to any place. So you kind of have to stay in there. But when I went to Melbourne, it was much more, I don't know, bohemian's not such a great word, but that it was like a little bit more culturally vibrant.
Yeah.
There seemed to be a lot more stuff going on. I think that's like where, not the Avalanches, but there's this other big band out of Australia that is pretty big, that does some good stuff, and they're from Melbourne, kind of big BE, kind of funky stuff. Shayhan's mentioned them to us before, I think they have a bear in the title or something like that, or not ringing any bells. But
Black bear,
no
bear, grizzly bear. No, I don't know. I do not know.
But anyway,
but I think they wanted to go there because they were like, well, we have to pay hundreds of dollars to play a show that nobody comes to.
Yeah,
we can go to Australia and they'll pay us.
Yeah.
And there'll be an audience, and they're like actually pumped about seeing live music.
Yeah.
And I think, the culture is different. Obviously, it's a different country, different continent, different culture. Yeah. So the people kind of take it differently. And I think in Japan, it's like it was more difficult to get their psychedelic music out and in front of people.
Yeah.
And so going to another place just because it allows them to have that much more freedom and get in front of that many more faces. And I think they made a huge, awesome decision by doing that, and then they kept along that path, and they're like let's play everywhere except for Japan.
Yeah.
And they started touring more and more.
Yeah.
As the kind of years progressed, So I think, I don't know, it was great.
Yeah, and I think that really sort of invigorated them going to Melbourne and doing those shows there and getting that response from people, kind of thing. Being like, okay, we should do more stuff outside of Japan. Is like what they said. I think,
Yeah, which is kind of a bummer because it's like, you'd want to be accepted by your own culture, your own people. Yeah, but I guess it's a little bit of a divided thing with the psychedelia. Culture. They don't want that to mix with like the traditional Japanese culture or something. Like, I don't know. I shouldn't speak about stuff I don't know too much about, but I'm just going off the interviews and reading about this band. It's like, that's kind of how they were feeling. Yeah. Like there's some kind of discrepancy, something disparate, that they're not getting along with the way that shows are promoted and stuff like that. And it was easier to go outside of the country to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was like, from my recollection of Tokyo as well, I did go to like a couple of clubs, but they were like DJ clubs, and there was like one place I went to and it had like 3 rooms. One was like hip hop, one was like electronica, dance type stuff, and also I think there was this thing, I can't remember the name of the guy that are doing it, but for a while there was this one DJ that was like doing these kind of illegal street parties in Tokyo, kind of thing.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, he'd like literally rock up with his PA speakers and turntables and just have an impromptu like street party kind of thing. And they kept doing it for a while until they kind of started to get shut down and stuff like that. Yeah, I was like, damn, I wish I kind of was there for that type of thing.
That would have been great.
But yeah, anyway, yeah, I mean, so taking it even further than them coming out of, Japan, as the couple of the members like actually relocated to Amsterdam, right? Is kind of the big thing. I think there's Go and Tomo. Is that? I think are the 2 guys that relocated to Amsterdam,
right,
to set up their record label, Guru Brain.
Yeah, great name.
Guru Brain. Yeah. And they said because like Amsterdam is like the center of Europe, kind of thing. So if they can be there, then it's great for them to be able to tour the rest of Europe, and it's easy to get to America as well, they said, because Amsterdam has an international airport.
Yeah, so they're kind of more centered. Yeah, I mean, centered around Europe being the central kind of location. They decided to set their label up right there, and that's kind of their home base. Yeah. So then I'm thinking of a map in my head. So if you're like looking from left to right, and you have Japan is usually on the right side of our USA map. So then they can fly over to Europe, and then they can fly over to America. Yeah. Kind of just more of a central location to help these other bands that they want to bring up and promote, and make it that much easier for logistics. Yeah. And for getting around, Europe, because that's where they kind of made a big stand and had they were a lot more accepted. Yeah. Than in Japan. Yeah. And another great kind of business idea. Yeah. Even though that separates the band,
they said it was weird because like half the other members are still living in Japan.
Yeah, which would often seem like if half the band moves to another country, like maybe this band isn't really going anywhere because they just moved away.
It's hard enough when we live in Seattle and people move to LA.
Exactly. That's
we're not doing anything anymore.
Exactly. So we know exactly how that goes, but it just goes to show how tight knit they are with each other, how much they got like a brotherhood going on. Yeah. If they're willing to stay in this band and continue to push and create this awesome thing that's even huger than their band being their label. Yeah. Guru Brains. Yeah. So it's super cool. I mean, it's just inspiring to see these guys want to do this so much and making it happen and helping these other bands come up with them.
Yeah, and they said about the label, like it really is primarily about the artists that they know and love from their hometown and home city, Tokyo, and about bringing them outside of Japan. And and they said the whole thing about being in Amsterdam is like, they have a house, so any artist that comes over, they can have a place to sleep, kind of thing. They can use their backline being the technical term for like instruments and equipment and stuff like that. So literally they can just hop on a plane, go to Amsterdam, have a place to stay, have all the gear so they can do shows. Yeah. Like, it's really quick to like go, like in London, you could fly to London in like less than an hour and be doing shows there. Yeah. And they also said about that, it's like, it's good because then he said they'll go on tour through Europe, but they could just like go home for the weekend because it's so close together, kind of thing. Like, so,
yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, I've never explored Europe, but yeah, it's a
great idea. I'm like, damn, maybe I should go be based in Amsterdam.
I would love to check out Amsterdam too.
Yeah. One of my favorite places. Like, yeah, there's only 3 places in the world that I could see myself living in that I visited.
That's one of them.
That's one of them. It was Hong Kong, Amsterdam, and New Orleans. So
nice.
Those are the only 3 places in the world I visited that I'm like, yeah, I could chill here.
I feel good here.
Yeah.
Hey, you go to Amsterdam, I'm coming to Amsterdam. Exactly. That's all I'm saying. But great. They set up shop there.
Yeah.
And then they're still making albums. I mean, yeah, just to say it's super cool how they're kind of creating this ecosystem for their band and their music and the bands that they love. Yeah. And they're kind of being that entity that would have been like they wish they would have had when they were busking in the train stations and making posters themselves and paying venues to play at their venue.
Yeah.
And they're kind of being that entity to help these other bands do it. So they're kind of like,
paying it forward, is that what they say?
Yeah, exactly. Like paying it forward, treating others as you want to be treated, a little golden rule in here too.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. Yeah. So, I mean, I really identify with these guys because they're just hitting all the spots, like business decisions, music decisions. They're coming from the right space in their head. Yeah. And they seem super chill and really, really cool, down to earth.
Oh, yeah.
Dudes.
Totally.
So that's one of the reasons why I like them. And then the music is obviously, I mean, it's unfathomable. Like, listen to it. It's so good. Yeah. It's more than any scene too. It's not just psychedelia. It's not just 70s rock or 60s psychedelic stuff.
Yeah.
Like you've heard before. Like it really feels like, I mean, they want to incorporate like space.
Yeah.
Like universal sounds and universal spiritual vibes.
Yeah.
So they just go really above and beyond, and it really hits hard for me. So I love it.
Definitely.
So I mean, yeah, where are we at? Let's play another track.
Yeah.
In 2013 was their next one. Is that right? Because some of them aren't on Spotify, like we said.
So great resource for everyone. I discovered this probably halfway through our seasons of
yeah. Obviously, I still have some research things I got to figure out.
Discogs.com is a really good resource.
Nice.
I discovered. They have everything on there. They have the proper chronological order of the albums.
You can't play the albums on there. It's just listed.
Yeah.
Got you.
And you can see all the credits for each album,
cool.
who worked on it and stuff like that. Also, if you're into vinyl, I guess this is kind of an ad for Discogs, but we're not sponsored by them. You can list your whole vinyl collection on this site, and if you wanted to sell anything, people can like buy it from you, and vice versa. Cool. If you go to Kikagaku Moyo's page, you can see all the reviews of the vinyl quality. A lot of people, I was just looking when we were playing the last track, they were saying that the pressing of their first albums were kind of cheap and not so good. And they were like, some people were saying, how many copies of this misprint is out there? Not so. But then another guy was like, oh yeah, but it kind of fits the sound of them, that their vinyl copies.
What would a low budget piece of vinyl sound like? Is it crackly? Is it just bad sound quality, like not high fidelity?
Well, weirdly, a lot of people were saying about the quality of the packaging, which is like to me neither here nor there.
Right.
But I think I've had like bad vinyls, and it's just like the sound quality is just really thin. Mm-hmm. There's no body to it. You have to really kind of put it through some system where you can tweak the EQs to get a good sound out of it, kind of thing. I think the best vinyls I've ever had are like the really thick ones, the heavy ones. Mm-hmm. Like I think because the needle really digs into the thing.
Yeah, it's just
and
more meaty.
Meaty. Mastering is a whole other thing that I've heard about. Like you have to like master your songs differently for vinyl versus
that's what I've
streaming
seen.
And stuff like that.
Right.
So it's all of that. I think like so many factors that can go into making a good vinyl or not. So
complain about it if you want. Oh, this is a cheap vinyl. That's great. But like these guys are just some punks that were busking in a train station in Japan.
And they're doing it themselves. And they're paying to press their own records.
Yeah, that's huge. And that's, vinyl's not cheap, even for the cheap ones, I'm sure. I've wanted to do that for my music and for...
There's waiting lists as well. I've heard like if you want to get something pressed on vinyl, you can wait as much as like 6 months for it to be like produced or something like that.
It's insane. It's not as easy as just, here's my music. Send it and next day air it on Amazon.
Yeah.
I think we should be there, but we're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, yeah, the whole vinyl's kind of coming back over the last decade or so.
I do like it.
That's cool.
It's a whole experience thing for me. We have the vinyls here in the studio, you know, and I don't have the turntable here. It's still at the old office that is still there.
Well, we're still getting set up, studio.
Yeah, but I just like the whole experience of putting it on. You know, you have to get up after like 20 minutes or whatever and change
Flip
the
it
side.
around.
Yeah. Like, you know,
I think that goes with Kikagaku Moyo's music because they're creating an experience, and I think it was a cool decision to make their first album on vinyl because that's not an easy task or not a cheap thing to do.
Yeah.
But it enhances the experience of like physically holding a record, looking at the album art, placing it on there yourself, and it makes you kind of feel like you're part of the music.
Yeah.
Part of the experience that, you know, you're part of Kikagaku Moyo in a way. And that's great. I love it.
And it fits the style of music. Yeah, like you say, people that really like their music, I think, are people that would buy vinyl records because their sound is retro and, you know, reminds you a lot of the 70s stuff that came out, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, so I have this track from, I think it's their 4th album.
Let's do it.
2016, House in the Tall Grass. I did go through and pick some of the shortest tracks because they have really long, like, you know, 10-minute jams.
Yeah, go listen to these long ones on your own. We won't. You know, we're trying to keep it short and sweet here. Give everybody a taste, but go, you know, get that full meal deal with a starter salad and dessert on your own. Grab their vinyl from Discog.com, I guess.
Yeah.
Discog, sponsor us. Thank you.
Yeah, great site. So yeah, basically, I have that up now for any discographies. Orders.
Cool. So that'll never be a problem for us again here on Roots to Grooves.
This track is called. Here we go. Kogarashi, I think. Kogarashi.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
This time
That was a bop.
Yeah. And you pronounce Ryu.
Oh, Ryu, that's his name?
Yeah, look that up. He's the sitar player.
Okay, cool.
Moyo.
And I think they are brothers.
Okay, cool.
I also just found that out.
Great.
So we're just adding on to this.
Adding on.
Pile it on. Anything we got.
And it was interesting. There's like a video on YouTube. I think it's Reverb or some site like that, where they interviewed Ryu about playing the sitar and he's sort of walking through a little bit his setup and how he does it. Because I think traditionally it's like an acoustic instrument.
Right.
And he's electrified it. He's like put pickups on there and he puts it through pedals and he's like creating all these different sounds with it. He said, one of the things he's trying to do is differentiate the sound of it from the guitars kind of thing that are in the band and try and do a little bit more sort of interesting things with it. But yeah, he electrifies it, puts it through pedals, puts it through an amp.
So, I mean, it almost sounds like a guitar though.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And and he's doing different things on different tracks, but some of the parts where it almost sounds similar to a guitar, and there's a guitar playing a line and the sitar's playing a line, and it's almost like similar to two guitars playing and kind of harmonizing together. Yeah. But it's cool because it's got that sitar sound with a guitar kind of vibe going with it with the actual guitar. Yeah. And so it's just a cool mix match that you don't see too much in. I think it's cool Western pop music.
Yeah, I think you could probably sort of like make it sound like guitar for certain parts of songs and then come out of that and then do the whole sitar vibe.
So, I mean, that's just dope. He's you think of like a guy in India, like sitting on the dirt, like, ding, ding. But he's like, no, let's plug this baby in.
Yeah.
Ordered some pickups from Amazon, just put them on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds great. So super cool. Yeah. So these guys gained notoriety. They're like one of the most acclaimed bands in the alternative psychedelic scene now. They've played at Bonnaroo Music Festival in the U.S., End of the Road Festival, Green Man Festival, both in the UK.
Yeah.
Concrete Glass in China. They've been commissioned by world famous fashion brands like Gucci or Aizi Miyake. Yeah, I mean, they're getting good reviews from Mojo and Uncut, which I think are a couple other labels. And they also did a set here at KEXP.
Yeah, so they've done a couple out here, I think. Yeah, one of them was like a whole live show at this venue called Triple Door. Where they did that live on stage in front of an audience. They filmed it all, videos on YouTube for people to check out.
I worked with my buddy Ross. I used to work with him. He used to be a manager at the Triple Door, I guess.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I've been there a few times. They do a lot of burlesque shows there.
Really?
I have friends that are burlesque performers that have been there.
Could be fun.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like a cabaret type thing. Also, side note, I just saw that they're announcing a lot of live shows coming up in the next couple of months. So they're probably like one of the first venues to start opening up in Seattle.
Nice.
Triple Door. Yeah.
That's exciting. That's good news.
Yeah.
So then where are we at with these guys?
So one thing I've noticed, I think, is it Go? Is he the lead sort of kind of guy?
I think he's like the singer and drummer.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of like, if there's a lead guy, he's kind of the go-to, but I don't think he's not like Mr. Frontman.
Right. Yeah. I think, well, it wasn't him then, maybe it was like the guy that does the acoustic guitar and stuff.
Okay.
He was saying that as they've progressed, that they're actually starting to try and do things musically that are more structured and more like song-like kind of thing with their arrangements. He said that something they've been sort of doing more and more as they've been progressing throughout the years, and instead of keeping it so free-form, which they still do a lot, especially their 2021 stuff. Is it 2020 or 2021, the latest stuff? 2021, I think. Yeah.
I think it's 2021.
Yeah.
They had stuff in 2022.
Yeah.
2020 also, not 2022, but hopefully they will have stuff in 2022 also.
Oh my God, I'm so confused.
I know, like, what did he just say?
But yeah, so yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing that they've been sort of, kind of experimenting with, and something I've been thinking a lot about as well when I'm trying to create music is like maybe trying to start with the traditional structure of like intro, verse, chorus, middle eight. It's like, it's kind of a nice little blueprint to maybe kind of write to or something like that. Like, you know, I need an intro part. What's the intro part going to be, kind of thing? Need a verse part.
Yeah, like we've discussed before, like if you give yourself some structure, sometimes that allows you more freedom.
Yeah.
You know, for expressing what you want to express, given those limitations.
Yeah. And something I noticed as well in the episode we did about Alexandra Savior, because that I just rewatched that recently, and about how Alex Turner had more of a structural approach to writing music when he was working with her, kind of thing. And I think it's a good.
I love that album. Belladonna of Sadness.
Belladonna of Sadness.
That Alexandra Savior and
Alex Turner.
That one's great.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's a good point though.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to hear him do. I would be happy to hear him do a little bit more poppy stuff, because the kind of droney landscape psychedelic stuff is great, and I love it. That's why I fell in love with Kikagaku Moyo. But like we heard in that last track, they can do a little bit of a bop, a little bit of a groove with vocals.
Yeah.
And I think that fits in with their sound really well.
Yeah.
I love some of that stuff. They have a couple songs where they have two of the guys singing, like the guy on drums is singing and then the guitarist is also singing, and they're kind of doing these kind of separate lines, almost call and response, but almost kind of harmonizing at the same time. So cool, just kind of, inventive ways to do vocals. And they just have these like nice soft little voices. Usually they're not like screaming or anything. It's just like real chill, almost like ASMR vocals over their psychedelic stuff.
Yeah.
Kikagaku Moyo. Yeah. So I mean, I love these guys. It's awesome. Yeah. So they got their guru brains going.
Yeah.
And one thing cool about that, their label that they started that was based in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking about a few minutes ago, is they were super inspired by Flightless Records, which is a different label, and that record label is owned by the drummer of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Oh wow!
Who's another psychedelic rock band, I think, from the U.S.
Okay,
and they're pretty huge.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, I've heard of them too. I've heard some of my friends say, "Oh, this is my favorite band," and I have yet to look into them and actually dive in.
Yeah.
So they're another one that's been on my mind for a couple of years. That Roots to Grooves is probably a perfect excuse to
definitely
dive onto some research and get into them, because I just only hear great things about them. Obviously, they keep coming up and they're influencing these guys who we're talking about, and that's super cool. So I mean, the drummer Eric Moore, drummer of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and he met those guys at a festival in Italy when they were both playing, and I think it was Go Kurosawa, one of the Kurosawa brothers. They met him in Carlton in 2017 when they came to Australia for GizFest. And then, he said everything is still DIY. I think Eric Moore said that everything's DIY. All the friends are helping each other, and it became kind of a community. And Guru Brain is trying to do that same thing, kind of mirror what, take that inspiration and kind of do what they were doing, especially for the Asian psychedelic bands that they love, and kind of bring those into the limelight a little bit. So cool to see that inspiration and see that connection and networking.
Yeah.
Because it's helping propel their own band, Kikagaku Moyo, by the inspirations, and they're literally just like, oh, these guys do something really well, let's go with that.
Yeah.
Like they find like truth in something, and they're like, we believe in this, let's do that.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working really well for them.
Definitely. Yeah.
So cool little tidbit.
Yeah.
Getting King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard in this conversation.
I'm surprised. I don't think I could say that name in one go.
I know. I was like, I'm not going to. I already started saying. I said King. I have to go the whole way. I think you can get away with King Gizzard.
Yeah.
People know what you're talking about.
Have you heard of Mars Volta Project?
Mars Volta?
I think so. What's the name?
Yeah, Deloused in the Comatorium. Their first album is my number one album.
Oh, really?
I love that album.
I've heard there's some of their stuff. Not for a long time. I really liked it. I wondered if they're similar to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Is that it? Is that
that was it.
Okay.
I wouldn't put those two together.
Okay, they're not.
Okay.
I haven't really listened to King Lizard and the Wizard.
I haven't listened to King Gizzard too much to say either, but I think Mars Volta is more like post-punk.
Okay. Yeah.
Progressive.
Yeah.
Post-punk, and then King Gizzard is more like psychedelic rock.
Okay.
I think, but
yeah,
it's two different styles of psychedelic rock, because I would certainly say Mars Volta is psychedelic for sure,
yeah,
but in a little bit of a different way. and I'm not prepared to like back that up with a reason.
Okay.
But I'm just going off my general feeling and vibe.
Yeah.
Like King Gizzard, I think I might be wrong, but he's a little more like kind of like dirty and gritty kind of sound with guitars and stuff. And I'm probably wrong for saying this stuff, but I know Mars Volta, Deloused in the Crematorium is more clean.
Okay, yeah.
And it has both Flea playing bass on it, and it has what's the guitarist of Chili Peppers?
Frusciante.
John.
Okay, wow.
Is on that album too.
I didn't know
it's
that.
Amazing.
Really?
It's my favorite.
Did not know that. Mars Volta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen to that later. We'll talk about them.
Yeah.
At some point on this show, because I mean, like I said, that's my favorite album.
Yeah. They're clean. What? Okay, going off.
Because I know John Frusciante would bring in. He would on the Chili Peppers. He brought in the kind of clean guitar for a more modern sound.
Right.
And that certainly translates to Deloused in the Crematorium because he was obviously the guitarist and kind of using similar sounds. So they're like playing really hard and loud and stuff, but still kind of clean guitar.
Okay.
And it's a cool dichotomy.
Okay.
I love it. I don't know. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I was just gonna. For some reason, I was gonna bring up Muse because when I think about those bands, I think about Muse. But it's different, right? Muse is more grand, operatic.
Yeah, Muse is theatrical.
Theatrical, yeah.
But they do rock.
Yeah,
and they do some cool stuff. How would I go between them and Mars Volta?
Yeah,
Mars Volta is just a little bit more unhinged.
Okay.
Like a little bit more like dissonant with a lot of the like it sounds like the rhythm section is sick and they're rocking out, but the guitar is almost always doing something that's like dissonant and like stretching the chord as far as it could go in the key of whatever they're playing. And so it just always feels like it's really stretching.
Okay.
And then Muse just feels like it's more like grounded and
planned out,
dramatic and theatrical. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't prepared to talk about this stuff, so I'm just going off the top of my head.
Oh,
but it's super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But all these bands we're talking about are great. Muse is great. Mars Volta is great.
Yeah.
Kikagaku Moyo is great.
Yeah.
And even King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Gotta check them out.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of albums out, I think, right?
I think they have a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they have a lot.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't really checked them out. But yeah, I don't know. Kikagaku, do we have anything more on these guys?
Well, I just played that track from their 1, 2, 3, 4th album, House in the Tall Grass. I've got one more track lined up from Masana Temples, which came out in 2018.
And that's the album that I discovered them.
Yeah.
That's the one that was playing, and I first listened to that one. So that's kind of my doorway, my pathway into the rest of their stuff.
And I think that was their last like full-on purely them album, because their latest thing is a collaboration, I think, with Riley Walker.
The Deep Fried Grandeur.
Yeah. Which is it's only like two or three tracks on there, but they're each like 20 minutes long or something like that. So it's it's a full-on album. But
to be clear, let's go over this real quick. Their first album, Kikagaku Moyo, self-titled in 2013, that's on Sound Effect Records and Cosmic Eye. Then their second record, Mammatus Clouds, on Sky Lantern Records. And these are like, I think some of these are Greek labels or European labels or something.
Yeah.
Mammatus Clouds was 2014. Also 2014 was Forest of the Lost Children. That's on Beyond Beyond is Beyond Records. Yeah. And then 2016, House in the Tall Grass is their fourth record. And that was the first one on Guru Brain. Yeah. Then also 2018, Masana Temples, also on Guru Brain. And then I think they had a live album in 2021 that they released on Reverb Nation. And then this one we were just talking about, Deep Fried Grandeur, who's a collaboration with Riley Walker. That's on Husky Pants Records. So I guess they switched it up, probably because that's Riley Walker's record label or something.
Probably, yeah.
But that just came out in 2021, and I have not listened to that one yet.
Yeah, I think I started out with that when I was listening to their stuff. I just, I think it's like an impulsive thing to do, and right now at this point,
what's the newest?
What's the newest thing? What are they doing right now? And then I'll go back and check out the earlier stuff, sort of thing. So it's really good. It's like probably a bit more jazzier, maybe in some ways.
I could see how. I don't know who Riley Walker is.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar, but I can see how
his name, but I never really.
I could just feel how having somebody else, another entity, work with that band, with what they have, with what Kikagaku has going on, how that can inspire some really cool music.
Yeah.
Add a little bit of jazz in there, or add a little bit of anything else would be fun. It sounds like anything.
Sounds like they could go far in any direction with any collaboration because they're so freeform kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
and they're so free with their minds. Like they're not afraid to be creative. They're not afraid to try something new.
Yeah,
and it's exciting, and that's why I keep coming back to these guys, which was why I was excited to talk about them today.
Yeah,
so super cool.
Yeah,
that's that. You got anything else?
I think that's what we got right now.
That's all I got on Kikagaku Moyo, but I was excited to talk about him today. And
definitely,
I don't know. Hopefully this podcast was okay. I feel like I've been fumbling over my words on this one the whole time because we skipped last week because something came up.
We've been good. I've enjoyed this talking about them today. Yeah, for the listeners that don't know, we went wild and crazy live on Instagram last week when we were supposed to record these episodes. Which was fun. We had some guests from all over the world. Well, LA and London, or not London, but
Colorado.
Colorado, LA, and my friend in Bournemouth, UK.
But he was over there, across the pond. So that was pretty fun getting that group of people.
Yeah, I think we're going to do that more often as well. So follow Roots to Grooves on Instagram. Just Roots to Grooves. Also follow Signl Radio on Instagram as well.
Yeah,
and we're going to try and do some more things because they're fun to do, and but we didn't do these last week. But.
Yeah, and that's my excuse is what I'm saying is we took last week off having a conversation, and that's
exactly
my brain turned off, I guess.
But we're still pumping these episodes out on the weekly, so no disruption.
Yeah, usually on Monday we're trying to get that a super hard release day of Monday.
On all the all the podcast platforms you can guarantee Roots to Grooves 9 a.m. Monday PST, and then I don't know whatever time zone anyone else is in. But.
And if you like our faces, we're on YouTube, so you can watch the whole video of each podcast on there too. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
But that's all I got on these guys. Let's play out on the track. Thank you for being here, everybody. It was great.
Yeah, thank you.
Great to be here. Thanks for talking, Jay. Always glad to be here on Roots to Grooves with you.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. I'm going to play this track, Nazo Nazo from Masana Temples.
Real quick, though, if you want to hit us up with any information, any other tidbits, anything at all, we'd love to hear from you. And Jay has still said he's going to give you a bag of money.
Bag of cash.
The first person who emails us at
rootstogrooves@signalradio.com. SIGNL radio.com. Bag of cash waiting for you.
He said it. You heard it here first, folks.
All right. We'll catch you next time.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signl Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's signl radio.com.